Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mathania, and on this channel I focus on everything self-care. In today's video, I am going to show you guys how I achieve these knotless boho braids. To achieve this style, you are going to need some Shine and Jam braiding gel, some hair scissors, some duck-billed clips, some hair mousse, 2 packs of human braiding hair, although I did end up only using 1.5 pack, and then 1 or 2 packs of a 3-piece already extended braiding hair. I am using expression hair. I went ahead and cut the hair in half because I didn't want my braids to be too long, and if I'm not mistaken, these were about 51 inches or so, but pre-cut. But like I said, I didn't want them too long, and I planned on stretching out the other side because one side was already stretched, but you cannot braid with blunt ends and the ends remain secure. So what I did in order to extend the other end after I cut it, I separated the batch into smaller pieces just because it made it way more manageable. And then I wanted to get the other end to reflect that of the original ends. So I am going to manually pull each strand down so that I can get it to be pulled. Just in case you're doing these on someone else, like I used to practice braids on my siblings all the time, and what I would do is I would do one batch and demo to them how they would pull the hair, and then I would start braiding, and then I would have them pull hair as I was braiding. So I never really had to pull the hair myself. So that's just if you are working on maybe a family member or something, they could have something to do while you braid the hair. But if you're working on a client, you should do this beforehand, or you should do this as you're braiding. But if you could get the client to drop the hair off beforehand so you could pre-stretch everything, it makes the process way easier and way faster. So I went ahead and pulled all of the individual pieces, and then I put them all back together. Make sure you brush the hair out so you can get all the knots and tangles out. And now that I am done prepping all the hair, I am going to just separate them out into sections so that the hair does not get messed up. And then I am going to now prepare the human hair. I got everything off of Amazon, and I'll link everything down below for you guys. I don't really have access to a beauty supply store for like really caters to African American people or Black people, period. So I do have to order everything off of Amazon when I'm doing my hair. And this braiding rack was actually a gift, but I will link a similar product down below for you guys. I'm pretty sure this came off of Amazon as well. One thing to note as I'm preparing the hair pieces, I did make the curly hair way too small, and I did end up having to add 3 pieces together for it to get the full effect that you saw in the beginning of the video. It's just that once I started braiding, I noticed that it was just too thin. I wasn't going to get the volume and definition that I was looking for. So I just made the curly hair a lot thicker by just grabbing 3 pieces at a time instead of the original one. Another thing that I did to make the process of braiding easier is I also separated out the straight braiding hair on one side of the rack, and I put curly hair on another side of the rack so that I could just grab pieces and go. And of course, we're still in the pre-prep process of me separating out my hair. I like to separate the 2 sides out and then separate the middle and backside of my hair. And then my braid pattern usually consists of me starting from the back and then going to the front and then working the middle. But because of demonstration purposes and filming purposes, it was way easier for me to start out in the front. I do have seborrheic dermatitis, and I have figured out a way to cure all of this, and I will put that in a video below. I'm going to use my rat tail comb to part out clean lines and then just make equal size boxes. I have the braiding jam on the individual strands that I am about to braid, and then I'm going to start braiding my hair normally with 3-strand braids without any additional hair first. Once I have my first stitch in place, I am going to start adding braiding hair. I always insert the braiding hair by tucking it underneath my index finger because that's really the finger that's in control right now and is guiding all the other braids. And then once I do that, I just tuck it underneath my index finger and I continue braiding. And that is how I add hair into the braid the entire time. I always make sure that before I add a braid, my index finger is the dominant finger holding onto the braid so that I can insert the hair in the same spot every time. Because my index finger is the primary finger, the moment that I continue to braid, my other fingers will naturally take the other strand in hair and tuck it into the braid that I am doing, and the braid will just flow. There won't be any kinks in it. And then I just continue adding hair. And now another strand that I was not stitching with is the primary strand that's forward right now, so it's still just my hair on that strand. So at the end of it, by the time you get to your third stitch, you want to make sure that each individual of your hair strand is now involved with a weave portion. And because we proportioned out the hair already and we're using all of the same size braids, by the time you get to your third strand of hair that you're adding for extension, all of your strands should now be the same size, so you don't have an issue with thickness at all. This is not the normal speed that I braid at. I just slowed down the clip so that you guys can really get into the details and rewind at each specific piece as many times as you need to, and then from there you could just continue. But like I said, you're just adding pieces in. Now that I have the straight extension hair, the braiding hair in, I can now start adding curly pieces. And because the curly hair is not so long, what I do is I do add it a lot uneven. So I put a shorter piece in the front, and the way that I add the curly hair in is exactly the same way that I add the straight hair in. I make sure that my index finger is the dominant finger. And then at one point when the hair is secure within the braid, I'm going to take out the longer part of the curly hair and just wrap it around one of the clips that's above my hair, holding my natural hair up, separating each section. And then I'm just going to keep braiding the braiding hair itself. That way the curly hair is out of the way. But because I did in the shorter piece that I did on the other side of that curly hair, that is what is going to secure the hair in place. I did go in and add about 2 to 3 pieces of curly hair into each braid, but please do not go stress yourself. Every single braid does not need curly hair, especially if you're doing the pieces thicker than I am here. Like I said in the beginning, I did make the mistake of just adding these thinner pieces, but as I was just about done with this section, I was like, this is not the fullness that I want. So I did put more curly hair pieces together, which is why you see in the beginning clip where I showed you the finished product, it was way more voluminous than this. But just add more hair. If you add more hair in individual sections rather than adding a lot less hair in a bunch of sections, you'll have the same effect, and it will save you time, because adding in the curly pieces can be a bit tedious. They are, but just, you know, it's part of the look, and beauty is pain, y'all, or whatever Beyonce said. If you have made it this far into the video, I would greatly appreciate it if you like, comment, and subscribed. This channel is a project child of mine. I absolutely love creating content, and this is my 7th year on YouTube creating content, and this is a new channel for me because my other one, it was just not moving. I don't know if the channel was just old or something like that, but I am tapping back into a new channel, and I'm being consistent with the content like I was on my other channel, but I just don't think the algorithm was really messing with me like that. So here we are, you guys. I know that was fast. I know that was quick, but my phone kept dying. I do film on my phone. It just kept dying, y'all. And look, we here, okay? If you got here, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But once I boiled the hair, which means that I put a pot of water on the stove. I let the water come to a boil, and then I dipped the hair, even with the human hair should be fine, into the boiling water. Now, one mistake that you don't want to make is that you also dip your natural hair into here. That would lead to extreme breakage, and that is why braids sometimes